Hello everybody, welcome to ScottyDGaming. I'm Scotty D and today I'm going to be reviewing Kingdom Come Deliverance. Horsens, roll that intro. Kingdom Come Deliverance is a gaming experience that may only ever come around once every other decade. What Warhorse Studios have successfully achieved is a game that gives the player a real lived-in experience. If Total Recall did 1403 Bohemia memory implants, this would be it. The character you play as is called Henry, an unextraordinary son of a blacksmith. In the early hours of the game, you'll be living out a regular day in the life in your hometown Skalitz, helping your father, drinking with friends and getting up to mischief. The sense of an established village community is amazingly well conveyed to the player. No sooner have you and your father crafted a sword that's destined for the Lord of Skalitz when your village is attacked, pillaged and ran through by the Hungarian army. Henry has no choice but to flee or die, and this is where his grand adventure starts. The introduction perfectly sets the bond between Henry and the player by taking away what Henry has always known and thrusts him into the unknown along with the player, so all future experiences are shared. The foundation for immersion is solid from the start. The world of Bohemia that's there for you to explore is approximately 10 miles square. It's not the biggest map, however everything in it is purposefully placed and unique. The towns are historically accurate, from the church in Sassau to the hilltop town of Rete. Even the crossroads, farmland, forests and rivers feel unique. Just walking around is a history lesson you don't realise you're getting, but one that you'll be grateful you've had. There'll be times you'll just stop and bask in the ambience, whether it's in the middle of a market, here on the hustle and bustle of daily life, or the middle of a meadow with the sunlight beaming through the trees. You can almost smell the flowers and feel the heat on your face. Right, enough of that. I know you're not here to dance around like a fairy, putting flowers in your hair while reading a history book in a field. You're here for the action, the combat, the blood, the feeling of victory as you crush your enemy's skulls into the dust. You can do all of this, but not straight away. Henry can barely wield a knife and fork successfully in the beginning, never mind a lethal weapon. Henry's a poor, unskilled and uneducated peasant, and that means you are too. For the first time ever in this type of RPG, the combat system is primarily player skill based and further complemented by RPG skills and abilities. No longer do you mindlessly run into combat screaming freedom while mashing the attack button as hard as you can. This tactic will only result in a painful death for Henry. In the beginning, you need to play this like you would if it were real. 3 enemies at once, avoid it. Avoid it like the plague, or find a way to separate them. If there's a single enemy by themselves, you still want to think whether you really need to fight them, and if you're confident in your ability and equipment. You'll probably want to avoid fighting a knight in shining armour if you're wearing a pair of shorts, flip-flops and have a wooden soup spoon as a weapon. The combat system's new. You've probably never played anything like it before. It's a simple system that does seem intimidating at first, but you'll get the hang of it quickly as long as you don't panic. So in combat, you lock onto your opponent, you can freely move around them. There's 5 directions in the centre of the screen, which is where you are going to attack or block. If you want to land a successful hit, you must attack from the opposite side from where the opponent is blocking, and if you want to block an attack, you must block in the same direction the opponent's attack is coming from. The system makes you feel like you're in a sword fight because you have to actively think, plan and adapt to your enemy skills and attacks on the fly. Pretty early on, you'll meet a character called Bernard, who's the captain of the Rate Guardsmen, and you'll learn some techniques such as a parry, where if you tap block just as the opponent attacks, you'll see you deflect the attack and send the opponent off balance, leaving them open. Absolutely invaluable when you need to create room to breathe or flee the battle. The ultimate technique you will learn is called the Master Stroke. If you tap block right as you see the opponent go to attack, you'll parry and riposte, hitting the opponent instantly. These techniques, once mastered, will see you be able to take on the most skilled and well-equipped enemies in the game. One recommendation I would have for anybody who plays this game is keep checking in with Bernard after every story quest until you learn the Master Stroke, because it really is a game changer. But be aware, just knowing these techniques is not enough. It is fundamentally down to player skill. If you can't pull off these techniques, then you're in for a very rough ride, because even petty, poorly equipped highwaymen pose a lethal threat. This is an RPG, and it has a leveling up system and skill points. It's a level what you do style system, meaning the more you do something, the better at it you become. It's always been my preferred method of leveling in games. It feels more natural to me. And aside from your player stats such as strength, agility and charisma, which you'll all be familiar with, you've also got combat skills and general skills. Combat skills are specifically related to weapon types, swords, maces, bows, and general skills cover everything else, including lockpicking, reading, stealth, alchemy and maintenance. Each skill can be leveled up by using it, and you'll unlock perk points to unlock new perks within each skill. For combat skills, you'll unlock new combos to use during combat. Do not overlook these, they're so powerful and they're excellent for catching enemies off guard and creating an opening. They'll have you Luke Skywalker on enemies in no time. Other skill unlocks include stealth takedowns, less noise, better efficiency from self-repaired equipment, and the ability to eat raw meat without any negative effects. And just a note here, for the maintenance skill, you can actually improve this by repairing your swords using any blacksmith's grindstone for free. This is great for saving money at the beginning and keeping your weapons in tip-top shape. Which brings me on perfectly to the loot. There's a modest amount of weapons and armour, however, they are beautifully detailed and you can equip Henry with multiple layers to customise the look to your liking. Each unique piece of armour has different stats. Plate mail is heavy, noisy, eye-catching, but incredibly strong. You'll be able to tank hits, but be absolutely useless at stealth. Clothing and leather-based armour is lighter, quieter, less conspicuous, giving you good protection and stealth ability. But realistically, it is fashion swords. Dress however you like, because at the end of the day, if you want to steal something, just unequip everything, get naked, except for a black t-shirt, and it's like you're almost invisible. Train well and gear up, because there are some amazing large-scale battles that happen as part of the storyline. These epic set pieces have you fighting alongside your fellow men as you storm castle ramparts, clear out Hungarian army camps, war cries, metallic sounds of weapons clashing, and the bass from stampeding soldiers make for some high adrenaline and memorable moments. The thing that really brings Kingdom Come to life is the cast of characters, the voice actors and the writing. For one, Henry is one of the best protagonists to have ever graced a video game because he's so normal. He's just a guy, and quite quickly you'll learn to love him. He's my brother from another mother, and the voice actor, Tom McKay, needs to be commended for his excellent performance throughout. The rest of the supporting characters also do fantastic jobs, so much so that you will genuinely grow to care for them. You've got Teresa, your main love interest. She is a lovely miller's daughter, genuinely funny and takes no shit. The way she is written, you can tell she cares for Henry without putting it up in flashing lights. Then we've got Sir Radzig, the Lord of Skalitz, who takes you under his wing. He's charming, level-headed and someone to look up to. You respect his calm demeanour and can feel the bond grow throughout the story. Then we have Hans Capon, son of a noble. He's a stuck-up prick who treats you as a peasant, but as you continue to work together, the dynamics slowly change and the relationship feels organic. The characters aren't just a hollow vessel for fundamental game mechanics, they are lived personalities. A game as grand and ambitious as Kingdom Come doesn't come without its issues. However, there's only one issue that I think is a valid one, and I'm going to go over that later, but first I'm going to tackle the 3 common issues that people have with Kingdom Come. Those are lockpicking, nourishment and the save system. However, in my opinion, they're non-issues and should not affect your enjoyment of the game. I played this on day 1 before any patches and finished the game with all of the apparent broken systems. In my opinion, they weren't broken, they just required practice. For new players today, these systems have been improved, and by improved, I mean made easier. Lockpicking enters you into a Fallout style minigame, just infinitely harder, especially if you use a control pad instead of a mouse and keyboard. You move the silver dot with the right stick until it turns gold, and you have to keep it in that same position and rotate it relative to the barrel, which you turn with the left stick, meaning you're actually turning both sticks at the same time. Yes, it's difficult, especially at the start, when you've got no levels in lockpicking, no money to buy lockpicks, and the only way to level it up is, funny enough, by picking locks. You can see why it caused frustration. It's not impossible, you just have to wax on, wax off, Diane-san. Henry loves food, and he does get hungry, and also food spoils over time. I'm not personally a fan of survival aspects in games, but this isn't an issue. A loaf of bread, a cabbage or a carrot, which you'll find everywhere, will keep you topped up for a good while. It's merely a slight inconvenience The final common complaint is regarding the save system. Because there's no quick save and very sporadic autosaves, you can save wherever you like, but it's tied to an in-game alcoholic beverage called Saviour Schnapps, which is super expensive to buy at the start when the players need it most. Again, I can see the frustration. However, you can save your game free of charge whenever you sleep in a safe house bed. The earliest one is at Teresa's Mill, which is available directly after the intro, or in any town inn for a very small fee. The only valid complaint that I have with Kingdom Come is the potential for main quest game breaking bugs. I did come across a bug where the main story progression was tied to me talking to a specific NPC. However, he was in a perpetual state of sleep. I couldn't wake him up. Day, night, morning, evening, noon. He was asleep in his tent and told me to fuck off every time I tried to wake him. He's an essential NPC, invincible, and you can't attack him. For anybody else and for any other game, this would have been the end of the road. However, because I loved the game so much, I was determined to continue and saw this as merely a puzzle that I had to solve. After trying out everything I could possibly think of, I figured out that if you fired an arrow near him, he would wake up and run away as if a crime had been committed. Still not able to be spoken to, but after waiting a few hours in game, I found him walking back the way he should be and I was able to talk to him. Problem solved. There's only ever been one game that has gave me a level of satisfaction on the same level as Kingdom Come, and that was Morrowind, 17 years ago. Up until now, I never thought it was possible to enjoy a game as much, and maybe, just maybe, my nostalgia was amplifying my previous experience, setting an unrealistically high bar to achieve. Whether that's true or not is completely irrelevant, because Kingdom Come doesn't just meet that bar, it exceeds it.